not the decision of my parents, her parents, friends or people on the internet, mine alone. A decision I would be the one living with at the end of the day. So I decided I would inevitably end up regretting it all if I did not at the very least talk to my wife and get some closure. So that is exactly what I did. 2 days ago I decided to invite her to our home to talk about our relationship, what I would be doing going forward, her depression and so forth, basically just to get it all on the table. Now, it would be impossible to narrate this entire conversation, and honestly it was about some very personal stuff, so I would not want to, even if I could. So I will instead try to break it down and give a summary of sorts. We ended up discussing our entire relationship. I must admit it was very awkward and confronting, as it was about a lot of stuff myself in particular had bottled up for so long it was very hard for me not to start yelling. I told her I was exhausted. I told her everything we had been trying obviously had not been working. I told her I felt like a doormat. I told her she was not the person I married. I told her these 3 months had been liberating for me. I told her I was tired of it all. I told her that I felt like she wasn't doing anything to help herself. I told her she was not doing anything around the house. I told her a marriage is supposed to be a partnership, but I felt like I was basically married to myself, and that I was the only partner in this relationship. Essentially, I unloaded the stuff I had been feeling for years by now. I told her I had a hard time not regretting the day I married her at this point, and while it obviously really hurt her to hear, she told me she knew I was unhappy. She knew she had been anything but a partner. She knew she was horrible about it all. But she felt like whatever she tried she always ended up fearing getting better, getting demotivated to do anything, and that when she left, she almost felt like she had burdened me enough, that it wasn't for her, but for me, but that she went about it the wrong way and ended up blaming the therapist as an easy way out. While it was true the therapist had guided her in some way towards this decision, the decision she made was for the right reasons, but the explanation she provided was tailored to her, not to me, which was disregarding the therapist's advice entirely. She said she felt guilty about it all, and that guilt was just making her psychological state even worse. She said she hated seeing me going to work, coming home exhausted and having to clean everything up, until I just passed out essentially, which I might add is a massive step for her, as she never admitted this. But she started admitting a lot of stuff and apologizing for a lot of things in our relationship. She said her time away made her realize how much I mean to her and how much she took for granted, and that she should have done better a long time ago. To which I told her I felt like I had been enabling her, essentially, while I had tried to keep her to her medication and all of that. At the end of the day it was always me picking up after her, which probably made it easier for her to slip back into it all. Well, after hours upon hours of talking we ended up hugging for what seemed like over an hour before going back to talking, and she basically said she understood if I would not take her back.